Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new community call. Today, I am joined by Marco from Specter Association. Hi, Marco.
Hi, everybody.
Not sure you can see him, but maybe you can already see the screen. Today, we're going to talk about self-custody, the importance of it, and we're going to talk about what an hardware wallet is and why you should build your own. So, Marco, can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to talk about self-custody, and especially I will be representing the Specter project, and this is a project which helps you building your own hardware wallet. And before we get into building your own, the first question we should answer is, what is even a hardware wallet? And then we can answer why we would even want to build one on our own. So if you want to send and receive Bitcoin, so basically use Bitcoin, you need a device that is connected to the Bitcoin network, and this is, of course, via the internet. And on that device, you will have to have your keys, so your private and public keys. To sign messages, you need the private keys. To receive, you will have to generate addresses for which you need the public keys. And if both types of keys are on one device and connected to the internet, this is what we call a hot wallet. You have all keys on one device. Of course, for security, this is not an optimal solution because hackers might attack your device all the time in the background without you knowing from anywhere around the world and try to retrieve your private keys to steal your Bitcoin. And that is why, for a couple of years now, the go-to standard actually is to have a separation of concerns. So you have one device where you have your public keys, which you need to receive Bitcoin and to manage and create your transaction. And this would be called the wallet software or software wallet. And on the other hand, you have the so-called signing device or hardware wallet. And on that device, you store your private keys. And the important thing is that these are stored offline. So this device is not connected to the internet, which makes it impossible for hackers to access your private keys unless they would be physically close to your location and could get a hold of this device. And to even protect it from that, most of these devices have, in addition, a secure element. These are special hardware chips where the actual keys are then stored. And these secure elements also protect readouts, or if you try to read out from them, they will detect it and basically destroy the key material. So this is even if somebody gets your signing device, they cannot retrieve the keys from it and cannot steal your Bitcoin. So much for what is actually a hardware wallet. And the next question is then, one important thing. Even with that type of setup, of course, you still have to remember you always need to back up your seed phrase. So your master key, basically, because these are usually electronic devices, so they also can fail. And if they fail, you need to be able to still have your key somewhere. So you should have an analog backup somewhere else. Now, why would you want to build your own hardware wallet? There's three main reasons that I want to go into, unless it's freaking cool and you might just like that kind of tinkering stuff. But on the one hand, privacy if privacy is a very big concern for you, you might consider such an option. Because if you buy a hardware wallet, this is usually from a company that is specialized on the topic. So A, the company knows you're buying a Bitcoin device. B, anybody seeing along the mail chain and sees who is sending you the package knows that you are buying a Bitcoin device. And by that, your name is linked to possibly owning Bitcoin, and that could make you a target for example, for attackers of any kind. And if you build your hardware wallet from off-the-shelf components, this is regular components that are not specifically built or tailor-made for Bitcoin, people will not be able to suspect that you have Bitcoin. And another aspect is security. So along the supply chain, there might be people manipulating the device. So either by colluding with the supplier or along the mail chain, for example, people could intercept the package or modify it and sell you a hardware device that has malicious content and is not serving your best interest. Or you could just say, okay, I'm trying to build a multi-signature setup. I want to have a very diverse set of hardware devices, because you want, with a multi-sig, you usually want to eliminate single points of failure. And if you have all devices from the same vendor, this is again a single point of failure. So this might also be a reason why you would choose one of these devices. And the third aspect is customization. So let's assume you want to add, you're a developer and you want to add a cool new feature to Bitcoin and build Bitcoin self-custody. If you're not working at such a manufacturer, it's kind of hard to bring those features into real life. And with the DIY, so do-it-yourself hardware wallets, where you build everything yourself, it's much easier to add such a new feature and try it out and bring it to the world. And there's actually a common thing for customization and privacy, which would be steganography. That means if you build the device yourself, you can also try to make it look stealthy. So not only have encryption protect hackers accessing it, but even when you're traveling, trying to hide that there is even a Bitcoin device, even if you have it, show it to the people at the border or to an attacker, they might not detect that it is a Bitcoin device if it looks, for example, like this, like a gaming console. All right, let's get into all of these three aspects a little bit more. So privacy. Of course, for everything related to Bitcoin, privacy can be a big concern. Not only buying a hardware wallet, but everybody that knows that you have Bitcoin might think that you are, for example, rich, or might be a worthy attack target for any type. So privacy in general with Bitcoin is a big concern, but especially buying the hardware wallet, because hardware wallets are usually used to secure bigger amounts of Bitcoin than, for example, a hot wallet. So you might want to be private about it, especially if you're from a country where Bitcoin is illegal, right? So if you live in such a country and anybody finds out, so either from the authorities or your neighbor who can then go to the authorities, if they find out you have Bitcoin, you might end up in jail. So you should try to avoid anybody knowing that you have Bitcoin or that you have any Bitcoin specific hardware. Even if you live in a country where this is not a problem and Bitcoin is legal, still for your own personal safety, it might be a good idea to not have everybody know that you own Bitcoin, because even then you can be attacked, maybe not by the state itself, but by bad actors, criminals of all kinds. And there's lots and lots of precedents that this happens. So for example, the Ledger company here, they have, I think by now, at least twice have been hacked, and not the devices themselves, so that there weren't private keys stolen, but customer data was stolen. And for example, I personally was affected in one of those hacks, and since then I have received a lot of very Ledger-specific phishing mails that, of course, can be dangerous to people that are not very aware of the topic. And the reason that I have here the French flag on is not just because Ledger is a French company, but especially since the beginning of this year, there has been a serious streak of attacks on Bitcoin and crypto holders in France. I think every second day almost there is somebody being either taken hostage or attacked or something. And the reason is, as far as I understood by now, that those people wanted to be law-abiding citizens and reported to tax authorities that they had Bitcoin and that when they bought and sold to file the taxes. And one associate in the tax office collected this list and sold it to criminals. Yeah. And so even the state, if they know that you have Bitcoin and they are not directly persecuting you, they can sell your data to criminals, at least individuals in the government. And all of this, of course, is quite obvious when you're an activist for the Human Rights Foundation somewhere in an oppressive regime and your funding is by Bitcoin. Of course, you don't want anybody to know about this, right? Because they might take away your funding, or even worse. And coming from privacy more to the security aspect, so especially supply chain attacks. What is a supply chain attack? Well, any attack that happens between designing the device, producing the device, delivering the device to you, and anything in between where an attacker tries to modify the device in such a way for crypto, basically, and Bitcoin, that they extract your keys somehow later or can steal your funds. This would be the attack. But there's also other examples where people basically get physically hurt by such attacks. And this is not just theory. So we know that in the past, there have been malicious resellers of Trezor devices. So Trezor itself is, I think, the first company that provided hardware wallets since 2014. I think they had their product launch. And Trezor was not involved in that. So they didn't do anything wrong here. But a reseller basically opened the devices, unsoldered the computer chips, and soldered in other chips that were very similar with almost the same software, but that modified software had, instead of a random generator for the seed phrases, so for the private keys, they had a finite list of, I think, roughly 20 seed phrases that they would give to you. So then when you regenerate or try it several times, it would look like it is random. But in practice, the attackers knew all of these seed phrases, and when you used them, they could steal all your funds. And this is really happening. And also from other industries, we know, so crypto in this example here is not like shitcoinery. This is cryptography here. And the Crypto AG was a well-trusted Swiss company that provided devices to encrypt and decrypt communication and was used by secret services around the world. But they had backdoored their their devices for several decades before this was made public and found out. So even secret services were affected by that. And I think Giacomo Zucco also, in one of the Plan B program sessions we had in the last weeks, he mentioned also his assumption is that if by now not at least several of the hardware wallet companies are backdoored by the government somehow, maybe they know, maybe they don't know. Here in this example, I think most people at the company didn't know about that, but we would be very naive to assume that no hardware wallets have any backdoors by now. The honeypot is just too big. And due to timing, I'm not going to go into this. Maybe you read it, but yeah, you can also get physically hurt by such attacks. On to a bit something more merry after all these grim things. I also mentioned that modification and innovation is something that might drive people to do-it-yourself hardware wallets. And for example, several of the most cool features of commercial hardware wallets by now have been pioneered by do-it-yourself projects, and especially Specter. So for example, the big touch plates that you now see in some devices, the first one was Specter already more than 5 or 6 years ago. And although it's very comfy to have a big screen, it's also here a security feature, because you always should, of course, verify your transaction details on your device when you make a big Bitcoin transaction. And if the screen is so small that you cannot even fit the address or all the details on one screen and you have to scroll a lot, you're just not going to do it because it's too uncomfortable. And if you have everything on one big screen, you will check it, and this is actually increasing your security. And another thing is, of course, to have the attack surface for people from the internet trying to attack your hardware wallet as small as possible. You do not ever want to connect it physically or electrically to the internet, but you still have to, of course, somehow communicate between your hardware wallet and your wallet software to exchange the transactions and the signed transactions or the signatures. The question is how you do it. And before, I'm not sure when they introduced it, but I know that CoinKite had a long time the SD card method, so swapping SD cards between the two devices. Also, again, quite uncomfortable, right? If you have a big screen and a camera, you can use QR codes to do this way more convenient. And this was introduced by the Specter project as well. And I mentioned the secure elements, that usually you have per hardware wallet one secure element in most devices nowadays that you can buy off the shelf. Of course, this is somewhat limiting, especially if you want to do multi-signature wallets. And Specter, for example, introduced the removable secure element by using smart cards. So these are battle-tested secure elements. So they're security-wise, they're very good. But you can remove them from the device and use one device with several of those and spread them out physically and have a physically separated multi-sig with just one device, right? So also pretty cool. Now let's assume this any of this applies to you. So you either have heightened need for privacy, you don't trust the security of buying an off-the-shelf wallet, or you just want to add cool features. How would you go about it, right? And the first thing would be you should or need to, since I assume most people will not start their own project from the ground up, but you can instead choose from existing projects and pick whichever suits your needs best. And at least to my knowledge, there's 3 major projects that I'm aware of. And I call them the DIY family because on the one hand, it's not like so much competition as between commercial competitors. There's several developers that contribute to more than just one project in the same time and bring features from one project to the other and then to the other. And also they at least share some software. There's at least the Mbit library, which is a Bitcoin specific library, which is shared between all 3 of them. And on the left, we have Specter. And I just want to give you a bit what makes each project a bit unique so you can know where you can look into what's interesting you. The Specter project is defined basically by the base device, which has a very large touchscreen, and you always need to attach a QR scanner. Then you basically have already the most important parts for Specter. In that configuration, you will not be able to securely store your seed. That means you would have to always load it, and loading can be either by a QR code or manually typing it in. For a bit more comfort, you can add, for example, readers for smart cards or batteries for mobile use, and to make everything a bit nicer to handle. The most, I think, prominent and most used device that I'm aware of is the Seed Signer family. And their unique property, so to say, is that they are all based on Raspberry Pis. Raspberry Pi, for those that don't know, is a very, very popular generic general purpose computing platform used for hundreds of other applications than Bitcoin. And you can pick any, even the smallest, the Pi Zero. You can then add a special board with a small screen and some buttons on it, add a camera, you connect everything, download your Linux-based firmware, and then you would have a seed signer. And the smallest devices here, I think, very cheap. You can have them up to like 50, 60 euros or roughly. But then again, also these versions are not able to store your seed permanently because there's no secure device or no secure element. But recently they have also added extensions for smart cards and bigger displays if you want. But as far as I'm aware, there's no touch display variant for that. And to be honest about Crux, I cannot tell you all that much because I haven't worked with the devices myself yet. But as far as I understand, maybe Schnurz, you can add if I forget something, but they are all based on devices with a specific chipset. And these are consumer devices where you can add any type of firmware, but you don't have to build them yourself. So you usually buy pre-assembled devices and just put the firmware on. But as far as I understand, none of these have any secure element. But that's basically all I can tell you on this.
I think, but I'm not sure. I'm also not that familiar with Crux.
All right. So, but
let's, Marco, we keep talking about this secure element, but what is this secure element?
It's basically just a chip. So a chip, a special made chips on ASIC, application-specific integrated circuit, dedicated to being able to store information securely so that you only can access it if you have the right credentials, so to say. And usually they also have all sorts of temporal protection that if you try to open them mechanically or try to read them out by X-ray or electrical means, that this is either prevented or leads to their destruction. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, and you have on physical layer only that you have for example 10 attempts to enter the pin code, and if you would go over this 10, everything gets physical level completely deleted so that you cannot hack this.
Yeah, no, you cannot brute. It prevents brute force attacks. If you have physical hold of the device, you cannot brute force your way by just trying out all pin combinations. That's the point of it. So let's assume you've picked one project. How would you go getting one? And what would you have to do? How would you build it? What type of skills do you need? And there's usually 3 different options that you can pick depending on what your objectives are, right? So for which reason you chose the project. And if you want maximum comfort, you can buy pre-assembled devices. So all projects have links to trusted vendors that build these devices, assemble them, and send them directly to you. Of course, if privacy is your main concern, this might not be the best option, but it's very comfortable. And for other use cases that you might have, this is still perfectly fine. And the links for all the projects are in the slides, and these slides will be shared later on the one hand via the educational content, and I think also in the Telegram channel. So if you want to have the links to the projects and to the vendors, just get the slides. If you want to be a bit more hands-on and want to build the device yourself, but you're afraid that you might miss buying some parts, or you don't want to 3D print a case yourself, there's also options to buy pre-collected kits. So they might look like this. So you get all the parts in one box, but you still have to assemble them on your own. And of course, again, this is reducing in privacy because it's clear what this is for. So if you buy this, it's clear that you want to build a hardware wallet. You just haven't done so yet. But you save some money for the assembly, and you might learn how this actually works. And you can inspect really every part if you want to. And you can be sure that you don't forget ordering anything. And then just halfway through the build process, you have to stop, which can be frustrating for some people. And if you think, okay, you would like this, but you're not sure if you can do it, usually at big Bitcoin conferences or meetups, especially if somebody from either of these projects is in your community or area, sometimes they offer workshops where you can buy the kit and somebody will assist you in building it yourself. But you don't need any special skills or hardware. You don't need soldering or anything, as far as I'm aware. I built just this seed signer here a couple weeks ago, and I just clicked it together. And there's, even for the most, if you completely do it yourself, there's tutorials on the internet. The projects have descriptions. There's Telegram or Discord groups that help you if you have any issues. So you shouldn't be afraid that you think, oh, I don't have the skills to do that. You will be able to get help either just by Googling or looking on YouTube, or at least at the latest if you join one of the support groups. And the third option is if you really, if privacy is your top priority, you will have to buy the components yourself, ideally from different sources. So it's not, so you don't buy them in one go, because otherwise people might still infer what you try to achieve. But also for the individual parts, you get lists of what to buy and hints where you can buy them on the project list usually. And if you want to have a nice casing, so all these devices work also without a case, so just the electronics stick together. But if you want to have a nice case for you can also just 3D print it yourself, and the files for 3D printing you can download easily. And again, even for this, I don't think you need soldering skills, as far as I'm aware, at least for most projects. And this would be the hardware part. So now, however you did it, you would have your hardware assembled. Of course, you need to get software on there, right? The hardware alone doesn't do anything. And again, what I show here is the how-to, which is specific for Specter. So these commands here are Specter specific, the link is Specter specific, but the overall what you should do is the same, not only for the different DIY hardware projects, but applies basically also to every security relevant software that you download, right? If you download your software wallet like Sparrow or something like that, or if you download the a Bitcoin node software, you should do the same steps as here to make sure that you have really downloaded what you expected, that nobody in between, no man in the middle interfered with it, or that you haven't been spoofed the wrong software. So option one, this is one option that you can do, is you really start from scratch. So you download the complete source code. So you go to their GitHub, clone the repo, check it out, and then start the build process. Of course, that way, you can also really look at the source completely yourself, make sure that there's nothing in that you don't want to see. Then you build it. Then you can be sure there's nothing in that software that I haven't planned to be in there. Or you can say, okay, you trust the project to produce a correct software, but you still want to make sure that you have downloaded the right file and it wasn't modified by somebody else. In that case, you would download the pre-built binaries. So binaries is just a fancy word for code that your hardware can execute directly, so the computer knows how to understand it. But after the download, you would then have to verify that nothing happened in between. So you would check basically the checksum, so the hash of the binary against the hash that the project provides that you should have. And you can usually also check that the software has been signed by the authors. Now you would have the software built on your computer, and you need to bring it to hardware. And with the seed side, it's quite easy. You just put it onto an SD card, insert the SD card into the drive, and it will load automatically on startup. With the Specter, there's two things you have to consider. There's a difference between the first time you download the firmware. So when you have really bought a completely new device, you have to do the initial download. Because in that first download, you load two parts, the actual firmware plus the bootloader. And if you have that installed on your device, the next time you do not need to reinstall the bootloader. The bootloader stays always on the device, and it will automatically check any updates. So when you do an update, right, you have done the initial firmware download somewhere earlier, and now you want to do the update. You just copy your binary to an SD card, insert the SD card into the Specter device, power it up, and on detecting the SD card, it will update. And in the update process, it will also perform some checks that there is no modified software and that it is signed by the Specter team. All right. So
and here is what to mention, that this is currently only done by Specter. So the seed signer on Crux currently doesn't have this secure bootloader.
Yeah. All right. So this would be the point where we can either answer some questions or go to the demo, or the other way around. Not sure. Maybe we.
All right.
Very well.
Yeah, let's see if there are any questions first, I think. First of all, we had two comments by Prof. He said, in my French community, some of our members received some fake letters in France. So probably regarding the Trezor,
I think
like the Trezor topic, which was like the hack received by Trezor. Yeah. Is that it? Oh, Ledger, sorry, the Ledger hack. And then, yeah, of course, tax companies, they sell data and they can be hacked. So yeah, privacy is super important.
It wasn't even a company, it was the government agency in that case, as far as I know. So really the government agent was corrupt.
Yeah.
Kill your customer, not know your customer, right?
Yeah.
All right.
And yeah, actually I do have a question, because you said basically, yes, you have the secure element, but you can use different cards as a secure element. How does it work? So basically the device doesn't store the keys inside?
Exactly. So I can demonstrate. Just let me assemble. I'm not sure. Is my camera visible to anybody? So am I visible to you guys? Yeah. All right.
I can see you, but you are lagging a little bit, I think.
Okay.
So maybe try and stop sharing the screen and try sharing like your own camera.
All right.
Okay. Now I can see you.
Is it now better? No, even bigger?
I can see you.
All right.
Now.
So the basic
I can see your face though. Okay. Is that it? We're supposed to see your face. Perfect.
Yes. So you have the device. You have a smart card. You put it in. And now the device can store the seed phrase on the smart card and can read from it. And when I pull out the seed phrase and turn off the device has forgotten it. So the keys are only on here. That's how it works.
All right. So there's no danger of the actual keys being stored on the device, to be stolen.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you can do it as a user, but you will get a hint that this is not recommended, right? So the idea is.
So let me come to there. So there are like different solutions at Specter how you can like store your seed phrase or you can manage it. So like the one that's recommended at our repo is that you just enter the seed phrase into the device every time, and then you plug it off or like switch off the power, and then everything gets wiped. So it's only stored in the temporary memory of the device. So if you switch it off, everything is gone, and nobody who would get physical access to the device would be able to extract the seed phrase. This is like the official, so the recommendation because it's like the most secure. Nobody with physical access will be able to extract the seed phrase. Then there is like the solution with the secure chips, because some people don't want to only like every time enter it again. So there's also the CQRs, but some people just want to have it stored. And then we have the secure chips. Here, of course, we need to trust somehow the secure chip. But then it's also not stored directly onto the device. So there are like two different solutions how to store it. The one solution is that you only store it on the smart card, pin protected, of course. The second solution is that there are like 3 parts. One part is on the device itself, one part is on the smart card, and one part is the pin code. So it's like these 3 secrets, and only with the 3 secrets you can like access the seed phrase again. And it's like the most secure way, because then you have like this dual chip infrastructure, because then it's like even so normally it's not possible to hack a secure chip. There was not even one so about this single like thing how you can hack it, but then you would have an extra layer of security. Yeah, and this is like the thing that's there. And also what is possible but not recommended is to store it directly on the Specter DIY, the seed phrase. You would need to actively do that without a secure chip, and then it would be not as secure as with a secure chip, of course. And so it's also encrypted, but not with a secure chip. So if someone would steal it with physical access, it would be it would be probably possible with like a lot of tinkering to extract the seed phrase somehow, like it's done with Trezor 1, for example, where it's also reported that a lot of people were able to extract the seed phrase from it, because there's also no secure chip inside.
I see. Thank you for answering. Do you guys have any other question? You can raise your hand or write in the comments. Otherwise, we will continue with some practical stuff.
Yeah.
I guess you guys all want to see the hands-on part.
Let's see what we do.
Let's see.
So,
Let's see the different parts. I guess you can try and share the screen again now.
give me a second.
Like in your with your camera.
That's I would first, so everybody, if you look on the screen, I would like to show you really what do the parts look like. So I have disassembled here a Specter device that I received. So it's not, I think, exactly how you would get it delivered. I took one, but I took it apart, but this is what you would have. Some 3D printed parts for the case, the main device. In this case, I have an SD card reader. And I think, Schnurz, usually the scanner would be separate, right?
The scanner would be separate, and you have the what's that? The smart, not SD card reader, smart cards reader.
Okay, smart cards, of course, yeah. So this is basically, and the assembly of this is just physical, putting it together. In the end, some screws, and that's it. So it's not that hard to do actually. And if we now would have assembled the whole thing, the next step, as I said, would be to flash the software. And for that, I can show you again what I have, so you can really see what I'm doing. I have here a device which is, I reset it to its original condition. And all you have to do is attach a USB cable on top. First, there's one, not pin, how you call it, jumper you have to set into the right position, but this is all in the tutorials to connect the USB cable. And then you would have to get the firmware to download. And this is how you can do this. I will now share again on my screen. So the basic doing is So entire screen should be seeing my screen. It's a browser, right? You should see a browser window. This is the Specter homepage, specter.solutions. You can go to Specter hardware wallet, firmware, and you're directly taken to the release section of the GitHub, where you can then just say, okay, what do I want to do? Currently, I don't want to do the upgrade. As I said, this is a new board, so I want to do flash on empty board. Here's the description. Here they say you have to put the jumper in the right position, which I just mentioned, and then we just copy paste this here to the mounted drive, and we can just do it. So first, I'll download this. Save link as. I will put it into, yeah, let's put it into one of the Specter folders that I already have. It's downloaded. And now, of course, you actually, I would do all this firmware verification. For timing purposes, I will now skip this here. So I assume the download worked as intended. Of course, if this was a production device where I really wanted to store my own Bitcoin, I would check that. But I have now received the file, so I just downloaded it if you look at the time. And since I attached the device via the USB, I have now on my laptop this USB drive I can access, and I just open it, and I just drag and drop it over here, and it will automatically start the download on programming process. So this will now take a little bit of time. We can see, if you look on, if I turn it around, maybe you can see it. Here's a red lamp flashing. If you now look on my camera, you should see the red and green lamp flashing. And this flashing is actually the flashing process. And once this happened, the device should reset. It should bring a message that it is now having activated some protection measures. And then we should be able to start up with the actual firmware. Let's give it some time. Shouldn't be too long. I can stop sharing.
Yes, please. Are components easy to get?
So depending on if you want to have the single components, so I bought one. I just bought such a device from Mauser, so it was very easy for me to get this. Yes, but I just loaded the baseboard. The other components I cannot tell, but the kits are quite easy to get by the vendors of the project. Now I know the resolution is crappy on my, but you see it changed the screen, and it says read protection is enabled. Please do a power switch. So in this case, I would just disconnect the USB, reconnect it, because that's where it gets its power from. And on next boot up, you will see the actual Specter firmware loading. Right, so some lamps flashing, LEDs flashing, and there you go. That's the official Specter firmware. So it's asking me to choose my pin code. I will just skip it, so no pin code this time. We'll do some setup. And that's it. So this is how easy you can actually flash such devices. So even if you've never done it before, it's really just a simple drag and drop. So not that complicated. Okay. I will just bring my camera back up to me. So now that we have flashed the device, the next thing would be that we create our seed phrase and connect it to a wallet software. I will be using for this Sparrow wallet because I really do like it. But before I switch to Sparrow, I will again show you with now here's a real already flashed device, how that works. And load it up. And I just skip the pin code. And I can just say it says generate keys is the top menu. So I want to generate a new seed phrase. So I generate. It already shows me some random words. I, of course, usually would start now writing them down for my backup. But here for the demo, I don't do this. I say, OK. Now it starts generating the private keys and the public keys in the background. And once it's finished, I can now start exporting the public key information. So the XPub, I can already prepare this, so I don't have to switch between camera and screen sharing so often. But I will just say master public key. So this is the term for XPub. And I want to share the single key XPub. So I want to have a single key wallet. And it's now already generating the QR code. Just one configuration. And if I tap on it, it's showing it a little bit bigger. And this is what I will show in a second to Sparrow. So Sparrow will then import that information and will know where to look for Bitcoin for me. So I will start sharing again. All right, so hope Sparrow users have some sort of deja vu. So this is Sparrow wallet. And I would just say new wallet. I will call it Plan B demo. And it will ask me, where do I get the keys from? And in this case, I say I have an air-gapped hardware wallet. So Specter is hardware and it is air-gapped. So this is what I want to do. And it is showing me, it knows a lot of hardware wallets. So for example, Crux is also in here. I think Seed Signer is also in there, and Specter. And if you click on details, tells you exactly how you get the screen that I have. So how to get to this QR code is described in Sparrow. I already have done all this. So I just say scan. And now, of course, this will conflict with the camera that I have here. I'll have to turn off my camera for a second and try that again. And now, okay, now you see me here on screen, and I just hold in front the QR code. It scans it, and it detected it. So it's a Specter DIY. It knows it, and it shows me the derivation path, all the details. I just apply. For the demo, I don't use a password. I don't care. I will turn it off anyway. But now I could use this wallet in theory, right? And I could start receiving, sending transactions, and all that good stuff. So that would be the demo. Are there any further questions after the demo?
Do you have any questions, guys? They're all shocked. So, like, what is the hardest part in all of this process, from getting the pieces to actually flashing the device to using it?
Boop, 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 boop. I mean,
like according to you, I know it can be quite subjective, but like
probably still assembling the device if you've never done, because some of the hardware is a bit fidgety and actually you cannot do much wrong, I think, but you might be afraid if you've never done that before that you do something wrong. That might be actually not tricky, but could scare some people. But actually, I don't think it is scary, or it doesn't have to be. You don't have to feel scared. Also, though some people might feel like that.
Mm-hmm. So are there resources they can check, links they can connect to in order to
this would be the next slide. So I would still have some, because until now, most of the stuff, except was not that specific on Specter, I would have some background info on Specter. And of course, then in the end, all the links for that, if that's fine.
Mm-hmm. And let's say it again, but these slides will be shared on Telegram and also in the educational content section on the website. So guys, you will be able to download it and use it, and then you're going to have all the links to watch the tutorials. I'm guessing you also have videos for that, Marco?
Not here to present directly, but they are linked on the websites, of course. And if you just search on YouTube, you will find information.
Perfect.
Yeah, on the Specter wallet channel, there are a lot of tutorials on how to assemble it, how to use the device, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if people don't have any questions, I guess we can go on and talk a little bit about Specter.
Yeah, so I think the main relevant, so wall of text, what's the real interesting part of it? What you should know about the project. So initially it was founded by two guys in 2018, Stepan and Moritz, who wanted to really improve the hardware wallets and wanted to bring cool new features. And it was initially a for-profit project. It was planned as a for-profit project, as far as I'm aware. And in 2022, it was bought by Swan, which maybe some of you know. So this is a Bitcoin-specific company from the US, as far as I'm aware. And they bought the development team, but then used the developers for different purposes. So the Specter project itself stagnated a bit after that, although it had already quite some cool features and some traction in the community. And that changed, all of that mid to third quarter of last year, when Swan transferred the rights, all rights and IP of Specter to the Specter Association. And the Specter Association is a Swiss non-profit So now it's really, I think it was open source before anyway, but now also the rights are owned by a company that is not operating for profit. And
so let me say something to that. So Specter DIY was always like non-profit. So Morris and Stefan like developed it, and they didn't have like a business idea, like how to make money from that. They just thought, okay, this is necessary, let's build that, and then we will find a way somehow to like not like do this completely free. So that they made also Spectre Desktop. They did some like small like projects where they like did some projects for other companies to make some money. They implemented, for example, Liquid and get some money there, but it wasn't like really a profit hardware wallet. It was never the case. But yeah, then they got bought from Swan, and that code always was MIT licensed, completely open source.
All right. And we still have, of course, that code base, and we are updating it for security reasons. And you get this. This will be called version 1 software. So what you just saw, I downloaded the version 1.9. And since 2022 and 25, some of the dependencies that we have, so other software that is included in the Spectre firmware, I'm not sure if you're interested, it was MicroPython and the LVGL library for graphics display. They got updated in the meantime, and the older versions that we still have in the V1 software are no longer maintained from their side. So we are also in the process of upgrading to the newest versions of those, but not really changing the underlying features and the security of and everything. And this will be the V2 software. And my personal effort goes a bit more into what we want to have in the version 3 software, where we still use, of course, the updated dependencies, but also the user experience will be changed. And new features will be added. And this is, of course, some place where it's actually everywhere you can still sort of influence what Spectre is, right? We're looking for support for developers, and if you want to change something, you can add cool features, right? This was what I said there. The third reason why you might want to do the DIY hardware wallets is because you can actually influence the stuff and have cool ideas yourself. And maybe some more words on the variants that we have. So I mentioned the base variant. This is called the Spectre DIY. Doesn't have a secure element. It's really the touchscreen, SD card reader, power supply, and QR, but already has a lot of advanced features like multi-sig, taproot, miniscript is enabled with these devices already. And it's very compatible with many of the software wallets. So almost all, I think you found out, Schnurz, by more or less by accident, also the Bull Bitcoin software is supporting it. It wasn't actually planned, but because all these interfaces are by now standardized, it just works out of the box. And the next upgrade, so to say, would be the Spectre Shield Lite, which adds the reader for the smart card. So you can store your seat on this permanently. And you can add, if you want, AAA batteries, if you don't want to plug it into the USB for power all the time. If you want even more comfort, you can add or you can buy or assemble, or however you do it, which of the 3 options of complexity you choose, you can get the Spectre Shield, which has even a rechargeable battery inside, which is even more comfortable. And for all variants, you can also have different housings. So as I said, you can customize them, but there's already several different housings or casings available. Some of them even as metal, but to be honest, they're pricey, but very nice. This is the variants that we have. And currently, we of course, support is always wanted in an open source project. Of course, we need coders that add new features, that do reviews, that add tests. Of course, we could use a lot more tests for sure. With the new firmware, so with the V3, I have already the framework for multi-language support. And of course, in the end, we will need some people who translate that. Just like Plan B network needs to be translated into all languages, I think the same should be the case for our firmware. And so maybe not right now, but sooner or later we will need translators who support with that. If you're an educator and you think this is a cool project, you want to report to that would be also very welcome, I think. And of course, if you have some Satoshis on the side and want to get rid of them, funding is always welcome. And if you want to reach out to us, the easiest, or where can you get more info, what we're up to? There is every week the Spectre DIY Builder Call. Actually, always in parallel to this slot. So Thursdays from 5 p.m. Central European time. I'm not sure UTC I have to add or subtract 1 hour, I guess. So yeah, it should be 16 o'clock Thursday UTC, I think. And you can watch the recordings of all the past calls on YouTube. And if you really want to join yourself and also speak and show something, there's also a Telegram group. The link is in the slides if you want it. And there you will get the link to the call, and then you can just join via, it's Jitsi, I think, right? It's a Jitsi link. Or you can just browse the website. There's also a contact page on there if you want, also for donations. Or you can just browse our GitHub and check the PRs, do reviews, contribute. That's it. That was basically all I wanted to add.
That's great. So do you guys have any other question? Anything to add? Are you interested? Would you like to do it yourself? Have you ever done it? Tell us. Yeah, the audience today is quite, I don't know, maybe surprised about all the information. It's quite a lot, actually.
Yeah.
All right. Can you stop sharing?
Maybe I
Marco,
have another question here, because I do often like Specter Shield Lite. This was like this version with the smart cards, but with also the battery workshops where I assemble them at, for example, Bitcoin conferences or meetups. And we thought if there's like some people interested, but you're all like not at one conference or like more spread over here, if you're interested, I could also, if they're, I'm not sure, there needs to be a couple of people, maybe here not so many people, but if there's interest in like making an online call where we would like assemble it together, you could maybe like raise your arm or and later on like write me on Telegram. Maybe we can find a date, and then we could do like an online workshop where we can like assemble this device together, synchron on via Jitsi or anything, so that if you have any questions, then you can ask them directly, or of course you can just like watch the videos online. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, so guys, what you can do is that you can go on our Telegram group where we will share the presentation, and you can write your questions there. I'm sure Marco and Schwartz will be happy to answer your questions. And then again, if someone is interested in participating into a live session where you actually do assemble everything, that would be a great idea. I don't know, maybe we can do it ourselves with Plan B Network one day. We'll see about that. And yeah, of course, feel free to, ask questions, comment, because I know that it's a lot to take in right now. So maybe you need to study a little bit. Maybe you need to, do your own research, which is great. And then feel free to, comment in the group chat, even here in the comments under YouTube. This video will be shared there. So feel free to comment, and I'm sure that Marco and Schwartz will be happy to answer. So here we go. So if there's no questions, I guess we can close the call here. 1 hour. So Marco, good job. Like before the call, Marco was worried that we were going to take too much time, but you were perfect. So perfect timing.
After making changes.
That's great. Yeah, you need to be adaptable when you do these kind of things. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Schwartz, for the presentation. Thank you guys for joining me in the live. Then again, feel free to, join the YouTube channel, to subscribe, and add whatever comments you would like to share. And I will see you soon, hopefully, for another community call. And keep being awesome. I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.